For more on the educational partnerships that BRICS countries have formed, I spoke with Yuval Weber, an associate professor at the Daniel Morgan Graduate School and a global fellow at the Wilson Center's Kennan Institute. And he began by exploring the current landscape of these joint ventures.
In terms of developing the economic interconnectedness between these countries, their interdependence, one of the main drivers of that is education itself, particularly at the post-secondary, at universities as well as sort of more specialized institutes. They want to send experts back and forth. They want to send their master's students back and forth, because what these things do is at the ground level, when people actually know each other and can work together, learn from each other, that helps produce different business as well as later educational partnerships. So in essence, these educational partnerships help invest in the future economic relationship between the countries.
And how diverse are the sorts of tracks of study that these students go into? Does it tend to be more of the tech and the engineering, or is it pretty diverse?
So particularly, I have more experience with Russia, and there they have several different tracks. They have the arts and humanities. Russians are very proud of their culture and of their language, so they want to make sure that no matter what else happens with technology and finance, that people still read Tolstoy and people still, love the classics. So beyond that, a lot of finance, economics, business, because they want to create the partnerships between, or the sort of the interconnectedness between business and economics and the state itself. And then the third is more technical aspects, trying to connect Russia into basically the international scientific community. It was cut off from the international scientific community for a long time during the Soviet period, so these educational partnerships are a good way to essentially bring Russia back in. And so for China itself, same thing. Give students a way to appreciate the classics, get the business opportunities at the ground level, and reconnect China to and Russia to the sort of global scientific community.
And let's also talk about some of the perks and added benefits that you get from going to perhaps a school in BRICS nations that perhaps you wouldn't get from some of these Western universities.
So I've experienced it myself. I taught at the New Economics School in Moscow as well as the Higher School of Economics. And the thing that these universities can give is obviously a very welcoming environment. It's always nice, like in any job, when the employer says, I want you to be here, I want you to do great work. So what they can offer is lower teaching loads, usually lower taxes, but it's also the opportunity to be exposed to students who are otherwise very, very enthusiastic to be there. And so when you combine, very nice working conditions, plus access to state resources, plus great students, great smart students, which New Economics School and Higher School of Economics had, it's a fun way to live.
Now let's also look at the longer-term economic impact that having these international students brings to these BRICS countries. What are the standout reasons to you?
So, we can look at China as a great example. In the 1980s, 1990s, the country was, let's say, capital poor, but it obviously had tremendous latent potential. At that time, China tried to attract capital from overseas Chinese to bring in these people who had some connections and could really start to develop southern China then, but the rest of China very quickly. This is a similar sort of thing. China doesn't need the capital, but what they need is these really highly specific forms of technology transfer, i.e. from the human capital, from professors, from students who come to China, essentially demonstrate a different way of doing things, and then they can essentially help rejuvenate the economy. The second particular thing is China and Russia have also relaxed the rules on the ability of students to do part-time jobs, to do internships, to start businesses. And the idea there is when you have either access to foreign capital or foreign technology or foreign expertise, and then you put it inside of, let's say, a technology zone. That's a thing that you can try to do in order to help create, something new, brash, and connect it to the outside international economy.